Did you know that 90% of the world's millionaires invest in real estate? Well, I'm Angel with the Academy Presents Real Estate Investing Rocks, and I'm here to help you if you want to go for your piece of that pie. Hey guys, I'm so glad you are here and just so much. I feel like the past 2 days I have been drinking from the fire hose. Just so much information. And so if you've got the free live pass, I hope you're taking notes, but you will absolutely have an option to purchase those recordings so that you can go back through them and really absorb all of that information, because so much. It's I'm learning right here along beside of you, and I think I have absolutely said that like every single time. But it's so true. It's it's so important to never think that you've learned all there is to learn, because there's always more. And the day you quit learning is, what is it? The day you start dying? Is that how they say that? Yikes. Yeah, I'm never going to quit learning then. But we've got another guest here now. We've brought in Carlos Reinoso, and he's going to talk to us about how he went from single family homes into smaller multis in a super short amount of time. And that's really cool. And I'm really excited because I know a lot of people are afraid to do those bigger deals. And he's got a way to get in where some of that fear can be relieved, because you don't have to go in and on your first deal do a 200 unit deal. You don't have to overwork yourself. If that's the path you want to take, absolutely take it. If that's your comfort zone, go for it. But if you're not there yet, but you're wanting to taste some of that commercial at maybe a lower level of risk, like risk tolerance, then I absolutely think this is the way to go. And Carlos, I'm going to turn it over to you, and just if you could tell us a little bit about your background and kind of what got you started in real estate.
Sure, Angel, and thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
So I started back in 1999 as a single family agent in Miami, Florida. I started actually as I went for a job with a telemarketer, and the job was for a position as a telemarketer. And I actually got the opportunity to work directly for a broker. He taught me the ropes. I started doing some sales, and I did that for some time. And being in the industry as a single family agent, I was also able to find good deals that were coming across the MLS. And I would do these deals for these investors, and I would see them making great profits from the deals. That basically, I would find the deals, I would analyze the deals, I would do the contracts, I would negotiate, and that whole process. And I saw the potential was there to make a lot more money from the perspective of an investor as opposed to of an agent. And that kind of turned my light bulb on. And that was my aha moment where I realized, I could do this as well. I could be investing in single family homes. I could be investing in smaller multifamily units. And so then come 2007, basically the crash happened, and I was living in Florida. So I started analyzing other markets, and I came across Georgia, and I said, well, Georgia has a lot of potential to gentrify, to grow in population. There was going to be a lot of immigration into the state. It was just a sister state to Florida. So I said it would be a good idea to try my hand in Georgia. And so I moved over to Georgia in 2007. My wife and we got married. And long story short, I've been doing small multifamily ever since here in Georgia. And I still perform as an agent. So I've been doing real estate as an agent for over 20 years now. Part of that was in Florida, and I've been doing it in Georgia ever since.
Wow. So as an agent, you can do residential or commercial?
Yeah, so as a real estate agent, you're kind of limited to your brokerage and how much they could take on, right? So there's ways that you could work as an investor while still working for a broker as well. And I was talking to a professor of a certain let's say brokerage, and he was telling me how he would want to branch out and do deals 100% and on his own without having to so much um, kick back to his brokerage. And there are ways that you could do that legally, and where it benefits you, and you don't necessarily have to go directly through the broker.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So I heard we might have been talking before we started recording. And you said that you're really close to, like, I guess, taking the first test to be a broker. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think you were going to mention that, but yeah. So basically, I've been in the industry. Adrian, you're so funny. I've been in the industry so long that there's been a lot of stuff that I've learned over the years, and there's still like I'm an avid learner, so I consider myself a teacher, and the reason that I consider myself as a teacher is because I do so much learning. Okay, so I spend my life either in a podcast, reading books, sometimes even writing my own books, learning from webinars, all this stuff, meetups, networking, everything I can, um, to learn as much as possible. So during the pandemic, there was a lot that I wanted to do. We were limited, and so my light bulbs just kept going off. And I'm going, what else could I do to stay busy, to be productive in this slower times? And that's when I decided two things. I decided A, I was going to get my broker's license this year, and B, I was going to write a book. So that's what I've done in the short amount of time that the pandemic has hit.
cool. You want to show people that book you got over there?
How do you know I have the book, Angel? Well, thank you. Thank you for the promotion. So, yeah, basically, this is the book, Selling Secrets You Can't Afford to Miss, by Carlos D. Reinoso. And basically, it's a great book if you want to some sales tips. It's an awesome book also if you're looking to sell your own home, or also if you just want to find out, just techniques to sell just about anything. This is a good selling book. I've learned from the greats, the Dan Cardones of the world, as far as his programs on selling tips and others. So I'm blessed to have learned a lot over the years. And so this book is my way of giving back after 20 plus years in the industry, just something to leave back with the industry and for sellers of their single family homes.
Awesome. So what are the benefits of becoming a broker?
Yeah, so one of the things that I recently came across, I was talking to a property manager. We were having a meetup, and so sometimes we meet up here with certain people from Old Capital Lending. We have a couple of friends here in Georgia from that company, and they have a meetup, right? And so the meetup sometimes meets virtually and sometimes in person. And in this particular meetup, we met in person, and we were talking, myself and another person who's a property manager. And I was explaining to her how I wanted to branch out 100% into commercial, and she suggested it'd be a good idea to possibly get my broker's license, which is the method she used. And she got her broker's license, and now she has her own property management company. So what I'm looking to do is for that lateral move, once I start doing syndications, to also possibly branch out into property management. And so this is a good way to be able to transition into that. And then if we never go that route, we could also have our own brokerage and sell multifamily through the brokerage as well. So that was the idea behind it.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we've definitely given you like amazing credibility. You should absolutely be here. Um, and like when I think about the property management side of things and you wanting to go into that realm, there are a lot of ways that you can bump your property value with the property management team, right?
Right on. Yeah.
So what are some of the ways that you, like, just off the top of your head, what are some of the ways that you can think of that the property management team helps bump that value.
Yeah, I mean, there's easy ways. It's mostly cosmetic, but there's a lot you could do. One of the things that I do in most of my flips and in multifamily as well, the very first thing I do is change the flooring. For me, that definitely changed the vibe. Like even my own house, when we first bought, I remember they had carpeting in the dining area, and I'm going, who puts carpeting in the dining area? Like I never really, it never made sense to me, right? So the first thing we did is we put um, the vinyl. Well, it's the fake wood. I forgot. I can't think of the word.
Oh, vinyl wood planking.
Yeah, the wood planking. Thank you. So we put wood planking, and it looks really nice. The whole home looks uniform, and it automatically went from like a house from like 2000 to a house of 2021 with that small change. It did automatically increase the property value as well. So I tend to do things keeping in mind how it's going to affect the property value. So I don't do unnecessary improvements. I do improvements that I know that are going to increase the property value and that are going to um, improve the property altogether and just make it a better home for the tenants or the residents, if you will.
Oh, very nice. And I think it's really cool that you bring that up, because I think I know at first, and I've said this a few times too, you get into real estate for the numbers, but you reach a point where it's no longer about the numbers. It's about caring for your residents. Um, and I think that a good property management team cares about the residents it serves, because when you really think about it, your property management team is serving
Your
the,
resident.
they're serving their customers, which are the residents. And so it's a, I think it takes a special person to really understand that and make their property management team really strong.
Yeah.
So I think it's cool that you're looking at doing that and making that kind of a horizontal move, because you can, I mean, like we're talking about today, you can save a lot by going in-house with the property management team. It's not for everyone. And I don't know that personally. I know that from all the people I have talked to that are like, yeah, about that. So it's, a lot of what I've learned and what most of us in the space have learned is just by talking to people. It doesn't take as much to learn from other people's mistakes.
Exactly.
So I always try and listen up when I'm listening to somebody when they're talking about, yeah, I don't ever do this again. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, and I've self-managed in the past, with the group that I was investing with, and that's when I learned you're better off getting a property management company because these people, that's what they do all day long. So they know best what's the best improvements, what's working, what the market will demand. And so, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just find somebody who knows what they're doing and align yourself with them, and you'll both have common interest, and it just works out. I find that that's just the easiest way to do it. Yeah.
Oh, very
And
nice.
even the banks, a lot of times when they see that you have a property management company, they automatically take you more seriously as well. And the property value just instantly increases.
Wow, very nice.
Yeah.
So did you sell your single family homes to make the move into the smaller multifamily?
Yeah, so I had to. When I first started, I was starting on my own, so I didn't have, I didn't even know you could capital raise back then. There was no such thing, or I wasn't privy to it. So I had to do a few single family homes in order to get equity, and from those flips and from the equities of my own home, I was able to get a good down payment and a fairly large down payment to take down my first 5 unit. And that was actually a pretty cool story in itself because I actually beat out an investor with many years of experience on that deal. And I remember it was a foreclosure, and it was also like my first experiences with foreclosures. And so I learned a lot in that one deal. And so that's one thing um, that I had to do: sell the single family, get the equity from my personal residence, put all that money together to get my first 5 unit.
Wow. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
now I'm interested. You're like, I beat out this like serious seasoned investor.
Yeah. So, okay. So working in the single family part of it, I kept seeing where I would put in offers, and then if you put in a really low ball offer when it's a HUD home, they're going to come back and they're going to say, "Listen, your offer was too low, but this is what we're looking to get." So you could kind of meet them halfway there and say, "Okay, you want this much. This is my offer." So now you can meet them halfway and say, "Oh, would you consider this?" And if there's no other offers, sometimes they'll say, "Listen, we didn't have another offer, so we're going to go with your offer." So I started seeing that more and more. And on this particular deal, I threw in a low ball offer, really low. Like I thought they were going to just laugh me out of the opportunity. And they said to me, "Well, this is what we're looking to get, and you're here. Are you willing to go up?" And I said, "Look, I'm sorry, but that's my final offer. I don't budge. This is what I'm willing to pay for the property." And I had done my research on the property. I knew the area. Actually, where I met my wife, it's like probably like 3 blocks away from where she used to live. So I'm very familiar. And I was hoping, I said, "Look, if I get it, great. But if I don't get it at this price, I'm going to be willing to walk away because it's just not going to be worth my while." I had too much at stake. And sure enough, they liked my offer. The investor bid even lower than me. So I got it. And then it's funny, I went that very day, I went and I wanted to look at, my deal and everything. So I'm there checking out the property and I'm outside and I'm talking to the residents and I'm letting them know. I'm like telling them I'm going to be the agent of the sale. They had no idea I was going to be the owner. And the investor comes in. And then he goes, are you the owner?" And I said, "No, I'm just the agent on the deal." And he goes, "Oh, because we were bidding on the property too, but we got beat out. And I was just wondering who won the deal." And I said, "Well, I don't really know who won the deal, but I'm the agent." And then he's like, "Are you sure you don't know who the person who won the deal?" Because as we got to talking, he kind of had a feeling that I knew more than an agent would. And I said, "Yeah, so okay, yeah, it's me. I won the deal." And he goes, "You know that you beat us out." And he's like, "Well, how much did you bid?" And I go, "I'm not going to tell you whatever." And I go, "So how much did you bid?" And I'm telling you, their bid was only like $5,000 or $7,000 more than mine. And what only thing that helped me win them out is that I had foreclosure experience. So I gave them a package. Some people will you don't know how exactly to prepare. I gave them a package where everything was done for them. All they had to do was accept my terms, and we could close in 28 days. And so closing quicker, a full package that made their job easier, and I won the deal.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. And it does come down to experience a lot of times.
Yeah,
It's and I didn't realize that about HUD homes. Um,
let me tell you.
our experience with the HUD home was that we put in a bid and somebody else actually put in a bid lower than ours, but they were going to own or occupy. So they won it. Well, everything fell through. So then they came back to us and we were able to get it then. But it was the way, I guess the way the rules are with a HUD home is if you're going to own or occupy, the home, you get it over an investor. So,
Yeah, and you have to live it at least a year, supposedly.
oh,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they want you to live it at least a year. So people sometimes, and I know Grant Cardone, he's so funny. He says like, "I changed my mind." He goes, "I just don't want to live in the property anymore." He says that's what he did back in the past, and that made me laugh so much. But yeah, I mean, no big deal. Like just like house hacking, you live in the property 1 year, and then after that, you don't have to live there anymore, and then that works out too. But at a minimum, they want you to be in at least a year.
yeah. Well, and I guess they didn't have any other offers because they knew we were investors.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then sometimes let me tell you, radical things have been known to happen too. So I put in lowball offers, and then they tell me no, and somebody else won out the offer, and I'll be called back and say, "Hey, they changed their mind, or they didn't qualify, or they didn't want it anymore," and then they'll call me back, "Hey, are you still interested?" "Yes," and I'll still win the deal. So a lot, you never know what could happen with that. Yes.
No, It's always funny.
Yeah.
So you really like that 5, 6, 7 unit size? Is that your favorite?
Well, no. Ideally, I would like to get 100 plus units, and the reason why is for the economies of scale. You want to be able to hire property management, and you also want to be able to get to your goals quicker, right? So I could either own 10 single family homes, or I could own one 10 unit building, right? And even better if I could own 100 unit building, because if a tenant leaves, I still have 99 people paying my mortgage, right? And so that's what economies of scale is all about, as opposed to you let's say you flip a home, but you only had, let's say you buy a home and then you want to rent it out or whatnot. If that tenant leaves, you only have one tenant, so now you're vacant. So all the profits that you made that year are all going down the drain, because now you got to find somebody else to replace them with. Whereas if you have a 100 unit building, one person leaves, you still have 99 residents paying your mortgage. So I prefer 100 units or more these days.
Yeah. So our, I guess, parameters for when we decided to go active side was 60 units plus, because we
Mhm.
want that on-site management team.
Yep.
But then someone was telling me that 60 doesn't always guarantee that you'll be able to get someone on site.
Yeah.
And so I think that must be the reason why people jump to 100.
Yeah, I think with 60, you're looking more like somebody who's going to be part-time. Maybe an assistant property manager could be there. If you have several properties, excuse me, if you have several properties, then you could have one person to be part-time on both. So that's a good idea. If you have, like, let's say one 60 unit, and then you have another one nearby, that's possibly, let's say, a 50 unit, and then combined they're 110 unit. So you could pay an assistant property manager, let's say, for part-time work on each. And it's more feasible, and your numbers could still come out right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow. So do you already have your team together?
So I'm in the process. I was part of a team before, and everybody had different ideas, and we still have a great relationship with everybody on that team. But then we all decided to go separate ways, and now I'm currently starting a team. I have everybody that I need, and one general partner, and I do have a key principal and a loan guarantor. And then I have, securities attorneys and everybody else as well.
You're ready to roll.
Almost. I feel like I need one more general partner.
Wow. That's exciting.
It's super exciting, Angel. A lot has been going on lately. Ever since I found out about Dan Hanford and what he was doing, that's how I came across meeting you. That's been a great opportunity as well. I've met a lot of great people over the years, but I've been doing this for years, Angel. This didn't start yesterday. It's been over 13 years in the process. So people see you and they go, "Oh, look at your success, and that's great that you're doing so good." And how did you come up, overnight and this and that? But overnight for me has been 13 plus years in the making. And if you count the previous years that I was just an agent, over 20 years in the making. So it's been a long process for me.
Yeah, I hear you. So we sat in the single family realm for a long time. We jumped into the multifamily space, I guess, about 3 years ago, and we still buy single family homes because, like, we're not actively looking for single family homes, but when they like fall in our laps, we're
Right.
probably going to buy them.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with the last couple that we got. It was totally different asset class. They're 1960s builds. They're smaller. They're like box homes. And our thought process is that it would give us an opportunity to learn about like a value add property.
Right.
We don't necessarily want to do all kinds of special upgrades to it, but we still get to see what the maintenance side of it looks like.
Yeah.
And it's going to give us a better idea, because our thought is we can take our experience from the single family side and just extrapolate it and make it big. And so the more I've heard people talk about, oh, well, the price per door, the price per door, the price per door, I'm like, that sounds an awful lot like doing a single family deal. And so then I can look at it and be like, okay, well, if the price per door is 44 and you're putting in, 5,000 to make it better, and you're charging 800, maybe 900 to cover property management fees and all the fees that go along with maintaining the apartment complex, you're probably cash flowing, yeah, you know what, $100, $200 a door. Well, that's an awful lot like a single family home. And so that was kind of where we started thinking that, we've got this the new asset class that we've taken on in single family homes. And we feel like we can bring to the table a lot of experience because we've been doing this for 17 years.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
so, yeah, that's where we come from on that. And then we got into some syndications passive, and we've learned a lot. I'll just say we've learned a lot. Some have done really well, and some are, it's, we can just wait and see what happens at the turn. I have a hard time like discounting a deal until it's gone. Some, because I think that the deals that have been successful through all of this stuff over the last year, those were really solid deals. And one of the deals that's just kind of, yes, it was a riskier deal, and I don't know that it was presented as a riskier deal.
Was it single family or multifamily?
No, it's a syndication in Houston.
Okay.
And so, I mean, I don't know, we're riding it out. And at the end of the day, or at the end of the turn, I feel like real estate in a syndication or anything, worst case scenario, you come out with the same amount you put in. Of course, it's lost money, time value of money. It's lost value, but I just feel like it's not like, say, we got into an oil and gas deal and it dry holes and we lost everything. So just different levels of risk. And so I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. And part of that too is on me, because I didn't know enough to read deeper into the deal. And Sandia would like kick my butt if she heard me saying this right now. But I just went on gut feeling, do I like this group?
You gotta go by the numbers.
I went by the multiplier.
Pretty good indicator, right?
Yeah, but like, I've been listening to people that are saying, like, you take what they give you and then you put it into your underwriting spreadsheet and you look at how it falls out. And I just didn't do that.
That sounds like Michael Blanc to me.
What do you mean?
Because he says that. He says, so when you're analyzing a deal, get their pro forma and then put it into the analyzer, the deal analyzer, and then compare apples to oranges, because basically they have like the pipe dream numbers, and then you're going to be coming up with the realistic numbers. And you want to have conservative numbers. You actually want to have, way conservative, because God forbid anything were to come off a little bit shaky, your conservativeness has given you potential for a little leeway in either direction. So yeah, take the pro forma and use that to help you come up with the conservative numbers. So that's a good idea for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. She's pretty good at that passive stuff. She's actually really amazing, and I'm very, very lucky that she has chosen to be a part of our circle, because I'm very fortunate. Not lucky, I'm fortunate. And I really enjoy being able to have her as a resource. So Sandy, if you're listening, thank you.
Awesome.
And if you don't know Sandia, you need to meet her. Yeah, no, it's this has been a wild ride, you know. It's just been a wild ride. It's very different from single family into like how you get your financing and how there's more moving parts.
Mm-hmm.
Because like with a single family home, and even we've got 4 here in town, we just have one property manager and he takes care of all of it.
That's good.
And so I guess, I don't know. I mean, if you have a 4 unit, one person could do it. I mean, clearly you had what, a 5 or a 6 and you did it.
I had to.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's doable. And so when I think about like a larger property, it makes sense that you need the property management team to come in because it takes more than one person to, care for 100 units.
Yeah.
But it's yeah, I don't know. It's so unknown.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's really one of the safest investments out there. If you look around, you do all types of different investments. Me personally, I remember way back in the days, I did invest a little bit in the stock market. And I just remember thinking like, man, I'm going to lose all my money here because the more I put in, the more I kept losing. And I didn't like the fact that somebody else was doing my investing for me. I like being hands-on. I need to be hands-on. I need to, and I'm a person, I'm like a control freak of sorts, right? I have to be in control. And then over the years, I've learned to relinquish some of that control because you do need assistance, you need partners, you need everything else. But you definitely want to have a little bit of control in the deal and kind of push it along, make sure that it's working the way you want it to work, and oversee the deal as well. But in my experience, it's really been one of the best investments out there. And even after I sold the small multifamily apartments, it was good enough that I sold it and I made enough money to carry me on for a little bit longer. So thanks to that, I was able to do everything, to move to Georgia, everything else. And, I was able to survive a little while longer from the proceeds from those sales. So in fact, if I would have kept those properties, I probably would have still been making cash flowing from the properties as well. So yeah, multifamily is definitely the way to go. If I had my choice, I would start 100 units and more just for the economies of scale and be able to get property management to handle the value add and everything else.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you think it's necessary for people to sell their single families to get into multi?
No, and I know a lot of people that are doing both. So look at it like this: your single family, you're building equity. Worst case scenario, you have equity there for life, right? So no, I would definitely keep, like any investments you already have, I would keep, but I would build upon that. So how would you build upon that? You could bring out equity from your house to put on multifamily. You could invest passively. You could invest as a general partner. And so I would definitely keep whatever I have. But if you're looking to scale and you want to scale quicker, then you might want to say, okay, I might take 3 of my 5 single families and use the equity or sell 3 of them and get this kind of down payment or this kind of capital to start off my next investment. And let's say if you syndicate, you could join other general partners and buy a bigger deal, bigger leverage, and get there quicker. So the old saying, if you want to get there quick, go alone. If you want to get there stronger or something, go with a team, because it's going to be more powerful and you're going to actually get there faster. Plus, you're going to avoid the mistakes along the way, and you're actually mitigating your risk by being there with other partners as well, as opposed to just being by yourself, because 2 eyes are better than 1, right? So
4 eyes?
yeah. But I was saying, like, imagine you're a cyclops, okay?
I'm just giving you a hard time.
Yeah, so yeah, 4 eyes are definitely better than 2, and even better. I mean, 4 is better than 2, and so on. So yeah.
No, we're good. I'm just
I was-
so I'm thinking back to like you said that you were like the acquisitions person. What does it take to be like, what do they even call it? The it's not the acquisitions person. I don't know what the title is.
Uh, yeah, you could just say the person in charge of acquisitions.
Okay.
So I would say for me, it was an easy transition because that's what I was doing as an agent, but I was doing that for investors. And so that's when I realized, man, what's getting these deals approved isn't the fact that the investor has the money and he has the capital and everything else. It's the way the terms that I'm putting on the contract. So, quick closings was one. These are good tips, by the way. If anybody's taking notes, quick closing. So if you could close quicker than 30 days, especially in multifamily, that's amazing. It's really hard to do sometimes unless you have the team. Two, um, you could use terms like, okay, I won't ask for too much closing cost, or I don't need closing cost, or I have the proof of funds available. So what I try to do is I put myself in the listing agent's frame of mind and in their seller's frame of mind. So how I feel that if I make it easier for them, they're going to be more inclined to say, well, gosh, Carlos already has a pre-approval, the proof of funds, the down payment. He's closing quicker than the rest of the guys. He's got the experience. He's an agent. He's not requiring a commission for it. It depends. If I'm working as the investor, I won't ask for a commission. If I'm working as the agent, then in that way I will. I'll have to. But these are all the little terms that I use to try to get my deal approved over, like someone like Greystone and companies like that. And I remember back in 2007, we were competing with the big box companies, and they were buying 100 short sales at a time or foreclosures at a time. And so the way I was able to beat them were these favorable terms that I already had, experience with. And sometimes it would be just getting the contract to them, the offer to them the same day. So if I put in the offer, I would not only put in the offer, but I would call them up and I would feel them out. And then after they would tell me what they were looking at, I would go as far as like, okay, here's the contract. And if I had to hand deliver it or express mail through UPS, I would do that. So all these little tips and tricks got me in the door, whereas the investor might not have known about it, and that was helping me beat them out on the deals.
All right. So I think I got 4 of those. So it was quick close, and then closing costs down or not there. Is proof of funds a number?
Yeah, proof of funds is basically just like you would get a pre-approval letter from your lender for a single family home. Proof of funds you would get from your lender for showing proof that you have the equity available, the liquid cash available to purchase the property.
All right. So then it's quick close, low or no closing costs, proof of funds, down payment, and experience.
I would say those help. Yep.
All right.
And the experience, because I had worked with so many foreclosures and short sales, that what I would basically do is I would give them the entire package right off the bat. So they're like, they don't have to come to me and ask me for a document. Nothing is missing. Everything was proofread through my brokerage. The closing attorney, I would leave the option available. I prefer this company, but if you have an option that you want to use, we'll use yours. And, I'm flexible with that. And as far as the escrow or the down payment, I would let them choose who's going to hold the escrow. And preferably, I didn't want to hold it. So I always prefer the seller or the listing agent be the holder of the escrow. And I think that also helped them feel more at ease, knowing that they were in control. If anything went south, they had that escrow in their bank account.
Wow.
So that's like a 5th tip there.
Yeah, that's not. I was scribbling them down.
So quick too. That was good. That was great.
Now, so all of you out there, pen. I'm writing this stuff down too. Don't be above taking notes. All right. So short sales still like astound me. I don't, and I feel like people like you that already have experience with them are, you're going to be able to clean up because
They're coming, huh?
I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, yeah, that's another great point. They're definitely coming to the market. There's a lot of mom and pop for small multifamily. There's a lot of mom and pop investors for single family as well. So yeah, and I think the only reason we haven't seen it already is because we're waiting on the government per se to release and stop with the with not that we're waiting on that, but it's obviously going to happen in the foreseeable future where all the government assistance and everything is going to discontinue, and I think that's where we're going to see a big boom in short sales and foreclosures coming up in the market for sure.
Yeah, it's and short sales is a really complicated process.
Right.
And I had a guy on an episode explain it because I felt like he explained it really well.
Mhm.
And even after he explained it, um, it's still, I didn't feel like I could go out and do a short sale, because I think it takes a lot.
Once you've done a few, they do tend to get easier, but you definitely want to have like a short sale package. And I remember mine were in excess of 20 pages. But basically, you would start off with an introduction. And this is something I was just doing this on every deal. And yes, definitely take notes on this one.
Hold on.
On every single deal that you want to win, you definitely want to give them an introduction about your seller, about your buyer. Who are your buyers? A little bio. Who's your buyer? What are they all about? Why are they looking to get into this property? Where are they coming from? So that's for the buyer side. But in short sales, for the seller side, you want to be able to explain to them why they had a hardship. What was the hardship that they had to go through in order to be able to, that they have to short sale. And short sale, it's an oxymoron per se, because the name, it's usually 6 months or more to close on a short sale. They're never short, but it's short because the bank is accepting less money than what is owed on the property. That's what makes it a short sale per se.
Wow.
And so, yeah, so I was saying you want to definitely let them know what the hardship is from the seller side, and from the buyer side, you definitely want to give like a short bio explaining why your buyer is the ideal person for this home.
What else do you have in there?
There's other tricks. So one example, this was a single family home, and we had a buyer, and they were so young. I mean, these people were like in their early 20s. The husband was like 21, and the wife was like 19, and they looked younger. They looked even younger than that. They looked like little kids, like young little kids. And I was like, man. And they had just had a baby, so they were looking for the house for the baby. So
Aw.
I put in the hardship letter, and I explained to them why they would be ideal candidates for this home. And at the end, I closed it off with the photo: mother, father, son, father, mother, and son. They were holding the baby. And I said, this home is for these people, and this is why we want it. They were sold. Needless to say, they wrote us back and they said the picture was the icing on the cake of why we went with you guys.
That's awesome.
And I'm telling you, that happens all the time. So it's definitely something you want to let them know who the buyer is and why you feel they're ideal for this home.
Wow. So I know that you also have to have, like, so when you're talking with the seller, you have to get permission from them to be able to talk to the lender, right?
Yes. They have to give you a signed form saying the yes. So part of my package already has that form
Mhm.
requesting the seller's permission. And all the seller has to do is initial and sign the last page. So again, I do have a beautiful package. And within the package, it also talks to the lender. So it's telling the lender, okay, this is the original bank that took the loan. This, the bank sold it to this bank. The current bank is this one. And this is what we're looking to do. We're hoping to close as soon as possible. Um, I'm trying to think of what else. So basically, the package is about 20 something pages. And by the time the lender gets it, there's zero questions left. They know exactly what's going on with this property, who the seller is, um, the comps. So I'll give them, there's a broker price opinion. I go one step further. I give them comps, my own personal comps. I explain to them the comps. And if they still need more information, I could give them additional comps of explaining why we feel that this is the right price to sell it where the market is willing to pay this exact amount for that property.
So you called it, you said it was broker pricing?
Yeah, broker price opinion, BPOs.
Oh, broker price opinion.
Yeah.
So is that like Manheim for cars?
Say again?
Is that like Manheim for cars, like the auction?
Right. It's kind of like that, but basically it's a broker will come, someone that bank picks out, and the bank's going to want them to look at the property. They usually just do a walk by, and they do it compared to the sales that have recent sales in the area. And if they can't find an immediate sales, or like within the last 6 months, then they have to open up a little wider.
Mhm.
But usually when there's a lot of short sales, there's plenty of sales to use. So they'll be able to get the comps from the previous sales. But then on top of that, there's been times that I've disagreed with the BPO. So then I go one step further, and in my package, I automatically send them my comps, and I explain to them why I believe this is a price. And something else most people don't know about short sales is that the banks are willing to accept up to, and this is, let me tell you, this is gold. This is gold, because I know a lot of people don't know about this, but up to 85% of the total amount owed, that's what the banks are willing to accept. For the most part. Now, that varies, but for the most part, if you come up with a short sale and you put in an offer up to 85% of the asking price, that's still within what the bank is willing to accept.
Wow.
And
Huh.
there's not many people that know that. So that's a great tip to use.
Making those deals profitable, friends.
Gotta put money in your pockets, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, no. And I mean, I know like when my husband and I have negotiated houses, 85% is, I mean, usually just a normal seller they'll take that, or they'll negotiate from 85. So then you're negotiating from 85 instead of negotiating from 100%.
Exactly.
So, or you're even negotiating from 80, but usually like, I think probably the best thing we ever got, it was like they were asking, I thought they were asking 100 and something. My husband's like, no, they were asking 99. I'm like, I don't think so. But we wound up getting it for 93. And I thought that one was a pretty good one. So it's, I don't know. I go with, or for me personally,
Gut feeling.
I go with that gut feeling. I do. So I'll like walk into a house, and if they're asking 100, and I'm like, and that was the great thing about the broker that we use here, is that he's been doing this longer than anybody else in town. And he's not afraid to send a lowball offer. He's like, Angel, I'll send whatever you want. And I was talking to John Fortes last night, and I never really realized why he was, I mean, he'll answer my text on a Sunday, on a Saturday, whatever. And I never really could figure out why. And then I thought back, and I'm like, wait a second. Every time we go to him and tell him we're looking for a house, we find one and we buy it. The only time we didn't was, and this was a weird situation. And just like I said with John Forces, I said, we could have bought the 2 houses cash, but we wanted to finance them. And
leverage.
Yeah. And we could get them financed. And we didn't want to burn up all our cash on these 2 houses. So we walked. But I was upset because I'd gotten attached. So another rule, do not get emotionally attached to the property. Because it makes you want to manipulate the numbers and do all of these things that don't make sense. So do your best to not get emotionally tied to the property. But we wound up not being able to do it because the financing fell through. But that is the only time we've ever gone to him and said, hey, we're ready to get another property, that we didn't get the property. So.
Yeah, and especially if you have a long relationship with the agent, you definitely want to keep him around, because that person knows that you're going to keep coming back. You're like a VIP for them, right? And coming from an agent's perspective as well, I want to start, and also for multifamily, I don't want to just start a relationship, sell your house, and lose contact with you for life. I want to have you around for life. I want to become friends. These people invite me to their quinceañeras, like they say, their 16s, their weddings, their, just everything, because you end up you start a relationship with these people. And I have customers from when I first started back in Florida, and we're still friends. I still give them advice. I still, meet them for like some beach time that we vacation together and stuff like that. Every time I go to Florida. So you want to establish this relationship, because you're going to become more important to that agent or your investor partners or anybody in this industry by establishing their relationship and by growing together with that person. So that's a great tip there in itself. And I would advise it too. Always try to get to know the people and go beyond just being transactional, right? Build relationships. And that's one thing I love about you, Angel, and about your husband as well. You both, I know you say your husband is more introvert, but I see him too. And he comes across just like your relationship type people. Like, you can't help but like you, want to get to know you, trust you. I'm serious. I'm not just saying that, because you have this personality where you open up to people and you kind of let them let their guard down. And I believe that that's why your agent says, I'm never letting Angel go, because they've given me business. But on top of that, the relationship that we've built over the years, this is someone who's important to me. So that's a great tip as well. Build the relationship as well.
But it's so like I had said a couple of different times throughout this event, I'm like, I've never talked to a broker. And people are like, well, why are you putting on this event if you've never talked to a broker? And then I thought back on, I'm like, well, I mean, Jim's a broker.
Yeah.
And I just never really thought of it like that, because I think that what happens is we put brokers on these pedestals, and we believe that when we talk to them, it has to be perfect from day one. And so the way we even got in with Jim and that whole group was when we moved here, that was who was recommended for us to use. I'm telling you, it was fate. It was absolute fate, because there's not a lot of like agents and brokers that are investors themselves. Yeah, they're really, it seems like there are, but that's because we're in this space.
We're in the space, right? If you're
there
outside
really
the space,
aren't.
Yeah, there aren't.
And he had over 50 single family homes at one time. Yeah. And so when we started working with him, like, he brought us in one time, and Jason and I are sitting there, and he said, y'all are, he was talking about his investors. And then it was like, all of a sudden he included us, and it was like, that's weird. He considers me one of his investors. Okay. But it's like, we were sitting down and we were talking to him about the syndication model. And it was a really cool conversation, because he was wrapping his head around it, but the numbers didn't add up. And I didn't understand why. At first, I thought he just wasn't willing to talk about it. He wasn't willing to learn about it. And now we're looking at a property here, and it's a buy and hold. It's not going to be a force appreciate. It's not going to be, it's probably pretty close to market. So it is, the numbers work for a buy and hold.
Class A or what size?
It's low class B.
Yeah, awesome.
I think it's an 80s build. So it's got the bright colors, the Art Deco.
Nice.
But it's, I mean, we'll see where it goes. Like, we haven't even put an LOI in yet, because I don't know. So the comps that were pulled my husband and I are looking at them, and we live here. It's literally 4 streets away from us.
Oh, wow.
And we're like, we don't think these are like options. And so I even talked to Megan about this on, the other day too, and it'll probably be when we come back on this, but, cause I was talking to her and I was like, well, I didn't think the comps were, I didn't think they were I didn't think they were like properties. And she was like, well, it's not really that they're like properties. It's everything that's sold in a certain amount of time. Yeah. But to me, that's not, I guess it's kind of like what you were saying with the whole BPO thing versus pulling your own comps. Mm-hmm. I think that sure, we can use what comes off a CoStar, but I don't think those paint an accurate picture of the worth of the square footage in this particular complex.
Right. And there's more than one approach. So with multifamily, you'll have the sales comp approach, and then you'll have like the approach from the business income approach. So it's how much income is this property producing? And that's what makes it even more interesting. That the comps just kind of gives you an idea, but you really want to go deeper and say, okay, how much money is this property providing, right? How much cash flow? And you're going to base it on a cash flow basis because it's a business. It's an business income approach. It's what it's called. So that's what you're going off of. How much money is it making for us?
Hold on, I'm writing that down.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It didn't feel right because it was like, and we've got a couple different complexes here around us, and they were used in as comparables, and we were like, so something that it was sold, it was around the corner from us, and I think it's a 90s build. And I think, let's see, that deal was from maybe 2018. And I don't think it's turned yet. I don't think it's met the turn, but I feel like that one might be more comparable. It's got the pool, but can we compare a 90s to an 80s? I don't know. I don't know what they look like on the inside.
I mean, yeah, you could if they were comparable, right? So you definitely want to make sure they're comparable. And so it depends, what year are they built? Do they have the same structure? Do they have the same 1 bedrooms sizes, 2 bedroom sizes, 3 bedroom sizes? Because you could have a 2 bedroom comp, but one is 2 bedroom, 1 bath. The other's 2 bedroom, 2 bath, and you got to pay more for the 2, right? So you got to keep that in mind too. So when it comes to multifamily, I prefer the income approach better, because there's no doubting there. You could compare apples to apples and say, okay, this one brings in $100,000 a year. This one brings in $200,000 a year. Obviously, the one for $200,000 is going to be worth more, right?
Yeah.
And base it on that.
Cool. Yeah. This might be a fairly selfish conversation.
We're
real life examples.
Yeah.
So it's been cool to be looking at a deal and be able to to have that to bring to the table, and to use that, because it gives me information, of course, but it also lets everybody out there that's watching kind of walk through it too. So that's pretty awesome.
I love that you got a deal. That's awesome. Congrats.
Yeah, well, we're looking at it. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that there have been any LOIs on it. So, but I don't know.
You definitely want to move quick though.
Probably.
In this market, you definitely want to move quick. There's a lot of eyes, especially in Texas, a lot of eyes out there.
Well, but things are a little slower here.
Really?
And so there's another deal about 1.5 miles down the road from us. And it's a lot. It's like 3 times as many units. Similar setup, but newer. And so there's one going down there, and they're doing it's like, oh goodness, it's a little over 3 times the cost. So I guess that's about right. It's about 3 times the cost because the way the comps are running. But I think that people that want to invest here are going to probably invest in that one. So maybe there won't be as many eyes on the one we're looking at.
That's a good trick then. Keep them focused on the one that's 3 times as big. In the meantime, you'll be investing in the smaller one. Good
Well,
trick.
it's yeah, but we'll see. And I was wondering, like, so clearly there's a broker that, because it was brought to us, and one of the guys on the team is dealing with the broker. And so I guess what I'm wondering is that the broker for the group selling it?
Chances are, because it's hard to find an agent working the buyer's side and bigger multifamily. So you pretty much just have a listing agent. That's it.
Okay.
Unless you're like me, that you could do the buyer side. Um, but even if I was taking down, let's say, a syndication for like 100 units, I wouldn't ask for a commission. I would just get an acquisition fee and an asset management fee. So I wouldn't try to get a commission on top of that. I just feel like I want to leave more meat on the bones for my investors and for their preferred returns.
Okay. Yeah, because I was thinking about asking our friend here, our broker here, because I just, we're passive. I mean, passive, we don't really talk to anybody. You just wire your funds and you say hello to distributions that hit your checking account. Um, and, on that same note, I thought we were passive before with property managers. No.
Why is that?
Because I would still drive by and see the roof was screwed up, because we get a lot of windstorms here.
Yeah.
I don't know that we're necessarily like Oklahoma tornado territory, but there was a big tornado that came through here in the late 70s that took parts of the town down to the ground, down to nothing. And actually the area where we're at was wiped down to the slab. So we get really bad windstorms here. And after one of the storms, I drove by the house, or one of the houses, and I was like, looking at the roof, I'm like, I don't know how that roof isn't leaking. And so I texted the property manager. I'm like, hey, and I'm taking pictures, sending them pictures. I'm like, are they complaining about any roof leaks? Because I'm not entirely certain how it's not leaking. But it was like, he probably would have eventually taken care of that, because it would have eventually leaked.
Right.
And then he would have had to come on to the scene. But I had to worry about the insurance. Like, we still had to take care of initiating the insurance claim and getting all that stuff done. And like, when there's issue, we have like a dollar amount set where if it's below this dollar amount, just do it. But if it's above that dollar amount, of course, call us. And
Exactly.
so it's we have to approve things, and it's not like being an LP in a syndication where you just get distributions.
Set it and forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that. Let me tell you that. I think it's the best way to start in syndication is to go in passively. You'll get the private placement memorandum, you'll get the operating agreement, you'll see a little bit further into what everything, the back end, if you will, the back office stuff. And you get more, better versed with everything. And then from there, if you decide, I want to try to do my own syndications, but I think once you go passive, it's almost like you've done it, you've done passive. So you're like, why would I want to do all this work when I could just invest my money and just get mailbox money coming in all the time? If I had the option, I would go passive. But I like being in the trenches. I like acquisition. I like the negotiations. I like that process. So, but yeah, if I had the option, I would definitely want to go passive too.
Yeah. Well, I think it comes down to this too. Like Jason told me one day, he said, I want to be fulfilled too. I was like, because I couldn't understand, because I am super fulfilled, but I'm doing this and I've got the meetup. And I'm going to meetups, and I've got my weekly episodes and the podcast, and we've got our little community, and I get to be more involved. And it's like, I get to fill my teacher heart by sharing information and basically being a teacher to people that are wanting to learn about real estate investing.
Right on.
And he found his fulfillment in freaking underwriting.
He loves it.
He does. He is into it. And that's why he's wanting to go active side, because he wants to use that skill. And so another option that we've done is we're starting up our underwriting company. And well, let's say our underwriting, it's really his underwriting company, but but I'm kind of there too because we're a team. But it's like that's how he's going to find his fulfillment, and that's how he gets to reach out and help all of those residents, all of those tenants get to live in a safe, clean, friendly, happy environment, the best that we can provide at that price point. So, but anyway, just thank you for being here today and for sharing with us a little bit about your journey. And I took some notes there on that short sale stuff. I will eventually compile enough notes of that to be able to do it. Or to find somebody that will hold my hand going through it.
But I mean, you're definitely, you have, like you said, with the podcast, I've been on your podcast. I love what you guys are doing. It's definitely very informative. So just keep up what you're doing. You guys are doing great. And, you're helping bring the message to many people out there. So kudos to both you and Jason and your team. Thank you for helping me along, because from the moment I've met you, you've done nothing but go out of your way to help me. So thank you for that. And just keep on keeping on. Keep up the good fight. You're doing great. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. And thank you for being here, because this event couldn't be what it is if it weren't for all of the amazing speakers that say yes when I ask. Because you could have just as easily said no. I mean, you tried to, and I didn't let you.
Exactly right. I mean, I couldn't think of any more excuses. And Angel kept saying, "You're gonna go, and you're gonna be there, and you're gonna be fine." And sure enough, so thank you for insisting, Angel. I really do appreciate it. I truly do. Really do.
Okay. I might not take no for an answer very often. But guys, just thank you for being here with us today, and thank you for being willing to learn, because a willingness to learn and a willingness to be coachable is huge in this space, because people are so helpful in the space, and you just have to be willing to absorb it and soak it in and learn from it and ask for help when you need it. Yep. Because you're going to find it. So, just thank you for being here. And man, we're coming in on the last day, and it's sad.
And we hope to see everyone in the next one. What is the next one, by the way?
So the next thing we've got is our live events. So just like yesterday and just like the day before, we've got some crazy stuff planned. It'll be super fun. And I look forward to seeing you there. And hopefully, Carlos, you get to come back with us and do some live Q&A and some being on some panels and get to do some of the live networking.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
It is. It's so much, just so much fun. And I love it. And hopefully everybody joins us and we get to have a good last night. So thank you guys. And hopefully I see you in a bit.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate
Thank you.